Hello, welcome to Remembering Remarkable Lives, a segment of Life Interrupted, where we highlight certain well known people who passed away the month prior. So please note, disclaimer, that we do talk about some serious issues, death, grief, and sometimes some trauma that these people have gone through. So please note that before you listen or watch the podcast. So I have my co-podcaster here, Vicky Skinner. Vicky, I say hello.
Hello.
And how has your day been today?
Very long.
It's been a long week, hasn't it?
It's been a long 2026 and it is shaping up to be a long 2026. So we'll just see.
It has. Last week, I kept thinking it was like 2 days ahead. So let's get into this. We do not have too many people to talk about, but there are some serious things that went on. So the first person I want to talk about, and forgive me for Ukrainian people who might be hearing this, Lana Kornahoshka. She was born September 13th, 1999, and died January 1st, 2026. She was nicknamed Sati. She was a Ukrainian journalist, artist, and queer anarchist. She contributed to the left-wing magazine Luk in Kharkiv, participated in the Ukrainian anarchist movement, and engaged in the country's queer struggles. Following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, she joined the Ukrainian army as a drone operator and was killed by a Russian drone strike. And I just thought it was amazing that she was a journalist, an artist, and an LGBTQ anarchist, trying to get those rights over there. And in order to help the fight, she joined the military. Our next person I want to talk about is Elle Simone. She was born LaShonda Charisse Simone Scott, born November 28, 1976, and died January 5th, 2026. She was an American chef, culinary producer, test cook, and food stylist. She was the first Black woman to appear as a regular host on the PBS television show America's Test Kitchen. She was the founder of the mentoring organization She Chef. At age 28, Simone lost her job as a social worker, her car, and her home during the 2008 recession. She took a job on a cruise ship as a cook for 2 years. In 2009, she moved to New York, working at a women's shelter, and in 2010 attended culinary school. Simone founded She Chef, a for-profit mentoring and networking organization for women of color in the culinary field, in 2013. As of November 2018, it had over 1,000 members. Simone was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in 2016 at the age of 40 and served on the board of directors for Ovarian Cancer Research Alliance. She died at her home in Boston on January 5th, 2026. And she has a couple of books out. One is called Boards, Stylish Spreads for Casual Gatherings, and Food Gifts. And those look very, very beautiful and healthy. I'm thinking
Very
about,
stylish.
yes, she's a food stylist. Our next person I want to talk about is Thomas Harry Cherones Jr. He was born September 11th, 1939, and died January 5th, 2026. He was an American television director and producer. He was best known for his work on Seinfeld, where he directed 81 of the 86 episodes of the first 5 seasons. For his work directing the series, he won a Directors Guild of America Award and a Primetime Emmy Award as producer. Cherones began working in educational television while a student at the University of Alabama, and later produced and directed programs for WQED in Pittsburgh. His first work after moving to Hollywood in 1975 was as a production manager for General Hospital and Welcome Back, Kotter. Several of Cherones' Seinfeld episodes are considered highlights of the series, including The Chinese Restaurant, The Parking Garage, and The Contest, with the latter featured in rankings of the greatest television episodes of all time. Cherones died from Alzheimer's disease at his home in Oregon on January 5th, 2026, at the age of 86. And there is a picture we have, and that is a picture from the pilot that they were shooting on Seinfeld when he first got the gig to write a pilot, and that's him. He has a cameo in the show.
I feel, I'm not a Seinfeld fan, but I think it's really fascinating that I know all of those episodes.
Yeah. Well,
Like, I
they're huge.
yeah, they're that iconic. I've seen every episode of Seinfeld, but I often don't remember a lot of them. And I'm like, oh no, I know all of those. So I think that's just really interesting that even to someone who sort of despises Seinfeld a little bit, it's still very iconic.
I think it's funny, 2 of the 3 episodes all take place in one location. The Chinese restaurant in the Chinese restaurant, and the parking garage in the parking garage. Our next person is Robert Hall Weir. Born October 16th, 1947, died January 10th, 2026. He was an American musician and songwriter, best known as a founding member of the Grateful Dead. Weir was born in San Francisco on October 16th, 1947. He grew up with adoptive parents Frederick Utter Weir and Eleanor Weir in Atherton, California. Weir began playing guitar at age 13 after less successful efforts with the piano and the trumpet. He experienced difficulties in school because of undiagnosed dyslexia and was expelled from nearly every school he attended, including Menlo School in Atherton and Fountain Valley School in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where he met future Grateful Dead lyricist John Perry Barlow. In 2011, Weir founded the Tamalpais Research Institute. And I'm sorry for the listeners if I totally butchered that name. Also known as TRI Studios, Tri Studios. Tri is a high-tech recording studio and virtual music venue used to stream live concerts over the internet in high def. Weir received the 2016 Lifetime Achievement Award at the 2016 Americana Honors and Awards in Nashville. Weir was a long-term vegetarian and advocate for animal rights who was influential in the founding of Farm Sanctuary. In the summer of 2025, Weir was diagnosed with cancer. Despite surviving the cancer, he died from underlying lung problems on January 10th, 2026, at the age of 78. All right, our next person I found absolutely fascinating, and it just, again, just kind of blows my mind, these things that happen to these people. Alex Jeffrey Preddy, born, I don't have a birth date for him, he's born in 1988. Died January 24th, 2026. He was a 37-year-old intensive care nurse who lived in the Lindale neighborhood in Minneapolis. On January 24th, 2026, Alex Jeffrey Preddy, a 37-year-old American intensive care nurse for the United States Department of Veteran Affairs, was shot multiple times and killed by 2 United States Customs and Border Protection officers in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The incident occurred amid widespread protests against Operation Metro Surge, especially following the killing of Renee Good on January 7th by a United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent. Preddy was filming law enforcement agents with his phone and directing traffic. At one point, he stood between an agent and a woman whom the agent had pushed to the ground, putting his arms around the woman. He was then pepper sprayed and wrestled to the ground by several federal agents, with around 6 surrounding him when he was shot and killed. Agents appeared to have shot at him at least 10 times within 5 seconds, continuing after he lay motionless. In Minnesota, citizens with a firearms permit are legally entitled to carry a handgun in public, either as open carry or concealed carry. Kristi Noem, Gregory Bovino, and Tricia McLaughlin all alleged that Preddy did not have identification on him while he was carrying his firearm. CNN noted that assuming the truth of this assertion, Preddy would only be guilty of a petty misdemeanor, punishable with a maximum fine of $25. Since the shooting, the agent in charge is still working. There have been digital content that altered the scene to make it look like Preddy was holding a gun instead of his cell phone. There is a lot more to read about in regards to the government and NRA on social media. You can go and find it and read it. Of course, we don't have time here, but the whole thing is very disgusting.
And
And I
I
sat there and read the whole thing.
I haven't read too much on it. I saw the videos when it happened and have seen all of what they're trying to do with spinning it with, oh, this phone case is a secret gun, just ridiculous stuff. I do think it's worth noting that they're still dealing with the stuff in Minnesota. ICE is still happening in Minnesota, and there are a lot of organizations out there who are trying to fight back against ICE and people who have been targeted by ICE. And there's like a bazillion excellent organizations that are taking donations and helping out there. If there's anybody listening who wants to get involved in that.
Yeah, and they mentioned Renee Good, who
Mm.
was killed on January 7th, and she was just driving by in her car, and they shot her. I mean, they thought she was reaching for a gun, but they didn't see a gun.
Yeah, that it's a slightly trickier situation, but I know far less about that situation because everyone is arguing about what happened, and I've not seen videos of that. Jeremy saw the videos, my husband. It's a little different because she was in a car. And I'm not saying that what happened was okay, but the situation was a bit different just because she was in a car. What happened with Alex happened because they were protesting what happened with Renee, and it just got worse, and it just keeps getting worse and worse, and it's horrible to watch.
Yes. It is really a disgrace. It is, like I said, disgusting, the whole thing.
Mm.
They're still trying to figure out all this stuff with Alex. The government's still trying to cover it up. They haven't admitted to anything. They won't admit it to anything. So, rest in peace, Alex. You're out of here. You don't have to worry about this anymore. Our next person is Grady Demond Wilson, born October 13th, 1946, and died January 30th, 2026. He was an American actor and author widely known for his role as Lamont, the titular son in the NBC sitcom Sanford and Son. He later portrayed Oscar Madison in The New Odd Couple and appeared in the film Me and the Kid. Wilson was born in Valdosta, Georgia, and grew up in New York City, where he studied tap dance and ballet. He made his Broadway debut at age 4 and danced at Harlem's Apollo Theater at age 12. Wilson was raised as a Catholic and served as an altar boy. He would spend summers with his grandmother, Ada Mitchell, who was Pentecostal. Wilson briefly considered becoming a Catholic priest. When Wilson was about 12 years old, his appendix ruptured, almost killing him, but he vowed to serve God as an adult in some ministerial capacity. Wilson married model Cicely Johnston on May 3rd, 1974. They had 6 children. In 1984, he was ordained as a minister in the Church of God in Christ and was an active Christian evangelist for much of his adult life. Wilson died of complications from cancer at his home in Palm Springs, California, at the age of 79. His son Christopher confirmed to the New York Times that Wilson had been suffering from prostate cancer.
His face is very familiar to me.
Yeah, that's all I knew him from was Sanford and Son,
Mm,
which ran for 5 seasons. And it's funny because I know of Sanford and Son, but I've never seen an episode.
I don't know that I have either.
We are going on to our highlights. My highlight is Yvonne Lyme. She was born April 7th, 1935, and died January 23rd in 2026. She was an American actress and philanthropist, best known as the co-founder of Child Help, and garnering in the process 5 consecutive Nobel Peace Prize nominations for her humanitarian work. After high school, Lyme attended the Pasadena Playhouse, where her performance in a production of Eugene O'Neill's Ah Wilderness attracted the attention of an agent. This landed her into the recurring part of Dottie Snow on 12 episodes of Robert Young's situation comedy Father Knows Best. She played a friend of Betty Anderson. After she married Feddersen, Lyme left acting to concentrate her time to philanthropy. In the 1950s, she entertained American troops stationed in Japan. Lyme and actress Sarah Buckner O'Mara, who met when they were guest stars on The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, launched International Orphans Incorporated, a charity that built and maintained 4 orphanages in Japan and 5 orphanages, a hospital, and a school in Vietnam. Lime and O'Meara later devoted their efforts to assist neglected children in the United States and renamed their group Child Help, an organization based in Scottsdale, Arizona. The two were also involved in Operation Baby Lift at the time of the American military evacuation during the fall of Saigon. Lime died at her home in Paradise Valley, Arizona on January 23rd, 2026 at the age of 90. And Child Help is a U.S. nonprofit organization dedicated to the prevention and treatment of child abuse. Founded in 1959, Child Help is one of the largest nonprofit child abuse prevention and treatment organizations in the nation. It operates facilities in California, Virginia, Tennessee, and Arizona. The Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline services all of the United States, its territories, and Canada. The organization also distributes Child Help Speak Up, Be Safe, a school-based abuse and bullying prevention program.
Wow.
Her and Sarah O'Meara co-authored a book, Silence Broken, Moving from Loss of Innocence to a World of Healing and Love, that was adapted into a movie, For the Love of a Child, which is based on a true story of a child that was helped at one of the facilities.
The pictures that you included, is that Sarah in the pictures with her?
Yes. I just found that absolutely amazing
Hmm.
that she didn't have a whole lot of acting time or didn't do a whole lot of acting, but she used her name, she used her resources to get out there and help children of the world. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Very inspiring.
Mhm.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I remember her on Father Knows Best. I love that show. I watched every episode of that show.
All right. Are we on to Catherine O'Hara?
Yes.
All right, Miss Catherine O'Hara, who was born on March 4th, 1954, in Toronto and died on January 30th, 2026. She
She was
was
Canadian?
this, yeah, she was Canadian.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. The Canadians are very proud of her, as they should be. She was the sixth of seven children. I actually kind of like was trying to poke around for some more of her personal life details, and there's not much, and it seems that her and her husband worked really hard to keep like their personal life out of the media and to keep their kids' personal lives out of the media. So that's nice. Catherine O'Hara told Rolling Stone in 1983 that she was pretty much a good Catholic girl at heart. She held dual Canadian and American citizenship. I thought this was so fascinating, and it was kind of like a footnote on one of the websites that I was on. It said that she had dextrocardia with situs inversus, okay, which is, and this is has nothing to do with how she died or anything, but it was a condition in which the heart and other major internal organs are reversed from their normal positions. So I've heard of this before, but it's wild. And that she didn't know about this until she was like an adult. Like she had an EKG at some point, and it was like, that's wild, like to not even know. So I just thought that was fascinating. Catherine was known for her work in the first two Home Alone movies, right? I've still never seen Home Alone. So, and for Best in Show and A Mighty Wind, and then, of course, Schitt's Creek and Beetlejuice. And Schitt's Creek is one of my favorite shows. I've seen it so many times. So after graduating high school, Catherine O'Hara took a job as a waitress at the Toronto improvisational comedy club, Second City Theatre, which I've sort of heard about on podcasts where they've talked to actors. So she was soon made Gilda Radner's understudy, and she became a member of the company after Radner left in 1974. So when the troupe initiated the sketch comedy show Second City Television in 1976, O'Hara got to be part of the cast. So when SCTV, Second City Television, was picked up in 1981 for a late night slot to air in the United States, O'Hara, after briefly working for Saturday Night Live, rejoined the show. In 1982, she won an Emmy Award for her writing contributions on SCTV. And I have this one note that just says Penelope on it, which I think is funny because it was me reminding myself that she was also in Penelope, which I think probably would have been the first full-length movie that I saw her in that I like sat down and watched it because I know I had seen bits of like Beetlejuice as a child, had seen bits of Home Alone as a child, but and it's such a sort of random thing. Penelope, I would have seen it in high school, and that probably would have been. She plays Christina Ricci's mom. Catherine O'Hara was named an Officer of the Order of Canada in 2017, and she received the Governor General's Lifetime Artistic Achievement Award in 2020. I kind of wonder if, like, I don't know anything about Canada or how the Canadian government works, but like to become an officer of the Order of Canada, is that sort of like when celebrities get knighted? Like, is this like the Canadian equivalency of that?
I think so because I know that when I did Patricia Rutledge, she was a part the same thing in England.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So in England, they knight the men,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't remember what the women are when they're, but that's kind of knighted. That's so.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. All right. So while making Beetlejuice in 1988, O'Hara met Bo Welsh. So he was working as a production designer, and then he was also an art director and a director. And they met and they got married in 1992 and had two sons, Matthew and Luke. On January 30th, 2026, Catherine died from a pulmonary embolism, which was an underlying cause, or rather, the underlying cause was rectal cancer. So she was 71 years old.
71.
71.
Wow, yeah, I saw her first in Beetlejuice. Now I'm looking up SCTV. I need to go back and watch that. I remember watching it as a kid,
Yeah,
but
I
I
just
saw
kind
her
of,
in Beetlejuice.
mm. It was, she really was one of those like, she was everywhere. She was in everything, and she was just a face that I guess grew up just seeing in things here and there, but never really paid attention to until Schitt's Creek. And then I just became very aware of her body of work and how like beloved she was. And she was just so much older than me that I just wouldn't have paid much attention, but she seemed to be a very gentle soul, and people really liked her. And then of course she was absolutely hilarious. And it's funny because I get a lot of flack for this in my social circle, but her character on Schitt's Creek, Moira, is my least favorite character. I absolutely cannot stand her character. But of course her delivery of the character is just the funniest thing ever. So she was very, very talented. And apparently that was kind of what she was known for. And I've never seen the Second City television, but she was known for doing you know what I'm trying to say. Impersonations. I'm like,
Impersonations.
yeah, like I cannot speak. Yeah, and like doing, because that's what she's known for on Schitt's Creek is the weird inflections that she has, the little voice that she does. And I think that that was a big part of her career was making sort of these characters that the way that she spoke was such a part of the character. And so I think that's fascinating, people who can do that kind of stuff, because I cannot.
And just in case, if you want to know, because I've been watching stuff on Pluto TV today,
Mm.
and they actually have a section in honor of Catherine O'Hara. They have a section in honor of Robert Duvall. And who was the
And
other guy that
and James Vanderbeek.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I had seen James Vanderbeek's. I think that was Pluto. It may have been they do that too. I've been seeing a lot of the ads for like their movies that are being highlighted.
Yeah. Well, those are our people today, and I kinda don't look forward to next month. We've got so many people.
It's going to be
that
very, very rough.
it is. It's already like, uh, but, well, there you have it. That was quick and almost painless. Any other
No, although I have only just realized that maybe my shirt is a bit insensitive for such a podcast. Maybe I shouldn't be wearing serial killer shirts anymore during this podcast.
you tend to do that, don't you?
I do. A lot of my shirts are serial killer shirts, though, to be fair. They're my favorite ones, at least. So,
At least they're fictional serial killer shirts.
only fictional serial. I don't play around with the real serial killers. That weirds me out.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's all we have for you today. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you join us next week. And if you did know anything about these people, go and do some research. If you haven't seen SCTV, if you haven't seen Father Knows Best, go out there and watch this stuff. These people leave such a remarkable legacy, and I think it's just amazing that we will forever be able to watch them, at least as long as we have electricity and the zombie apocalypse doesn't hit, then we can continue to watch them.
At least until the government starts controlling everything that we watch and read.
Well, they're trying, aren't they?
They're trying very hard.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and we will see you next month. Bye.